The transport ship landed on New Eden with a loud roar. Dust clouds covered the landing pad as the engines shut down. Kiwu Park stepped out and looked around. The new world stretched before him with rolling green hills and a bright blue sky. It looked perfect, almost too perfect. "Welcome to New Eden." A tall, thin alien walked toward him. The creature had pale blue skin and long arms. Its voice was soft and musical. "I am Talesh. I speak for the Velathi people here." Kiwu bowed politely. He had studied the Velathi culture during his long trip to this world. They were peaceful. People who had lived on many planets. They shared their worlds with other species and never caused trouble. "Thank you for letting humans settle here," Kiwu said. He carried 2 large bags full of equipment. "I am Dr. Kiwu Park. I design water systems." Talesh made a sound that might have been laughter. "Water systems, but the rain here is pure and clean. We have drunk it for many cycles without problems." A young woman ran up to them. She had short black hair and wore work clothes covered in dust. "Dr. Park? I'm Jin your research helper. I've been here for 3 weeks setting up the lab." Kiwu was glad to see another human. The long trip had been lonely. "How do you like it here?" Jinnah looked around carefully before answering. "It's beautiful. The Velathi are very kind, but—" She stopped talking and glanced at Talesh. "Please, speak freely," the alien said with another musical sound. "We have no secrets here." "Well, it's just that some of the humans who came earlier seem different now. More relaxed, I guess. They don't worry about things they used to worry about." Talesh nodded. "Yes, this world brings peace to all who live here. The rain washes away stress and fear. Many humans have learned to enjoy this gift." Kiwu frowned. In his experience, humans always worried about something. It was part of their nature. "What do you mean by washes away stress?" "Come, I will show you the settlement," Talesh said, walking toward a group of buildings. "You will understand soon." They walked through the colony together. Kiwu saw humans and Velathi working side by side. The Velathi moved slowly and spoke, in quiet voices. But what surprised him more was how the humans acted. They also moved slowly. They smiled a lot, but their eyes looked distant. "Hey there." A human man walked up to them. He looked about 40 years old with gray hair. "You must be the new engineer. I'm Heijin, the colony administrator." Kiwu shook his hand. "Nice to meet you. I'm here to set up water treatment systems." Heijin's smile faded a little. "Water treatment? Is that really necessary? We've been drinking the local water for months. It tastes great and nobody gets sick." "It's always better to be safe," Kiwu said. "I brought filters and testing equipment from Earth." "The Velathi might think we don't trust their world," Heijin said slowly. "We need to keep good relations with them." Kiwu looked at the man carefully. Something felt wrong. On Earth, Heijin had been known for being very careful about safety. He had requested the water treatment systems himself in his messages to Earth. "Don't you remember asking for these systems?" Kiwu asked. Heijin looked confused for a moment, then he shrugged. "Maybe I was worried about nothing. This place has a way of helping you see what really matters." That evening, Kiwu sat in his new quarters with Jinnah. She had brought him dinner and a cup of the local water. "Have you drunk this water yet?" he asked, holding up the cup. "A few times," she said. "The Velathi say it's the best water in the galaxy. They drink rainwater on all their worlds." Kiwu set the cup down without drinking. "What do you think about the humans here? Do they seem normal to you?" Jinnah was quiet for a long time. "At first I thought they were just happy to be on a peaceful world, but now I'm not sure. They don't seem to care about things they used to care about." "What do you mean?" "Well, Dr. So-Young was a very good doctor on Earth. She always checked everything twice and worried about her patients. But yesterday, a human got hurt in an accident. She looked at him and said he would be fine without even doing tests. She seemed so calm about it." Kiwu thought about this. "Have you noticed if the people who act this way have been drinking the local water?" "I think so. The ones who still drink Earth water from the supply ship seem more like themselves." They talked until late in the night. Kiwu decided he would start testing the water right away. Something was not right on this perfect world. The next morning, Kiwu went to see the water sources. Rain had fallen during the night, and small streams ran between the buildings. Velathi and humans stood outside with cups, catching the falling drops. They all looked happy and peaceful. "Beautiful morning," said a Velathi elder named Morden. He was very old, with white patches on his blue skin. "The rain brings life to all things." "How long have your people lived on worlds like this?" Kiwu asked. "Many thousands of your years," Morden said. "We have found 17 worlds with this perfect water. Each one brings the same peace and happiness." Kiwu felt worried. 17 worlds, all with the same effect on people. That seemed like too much of a coincidence. Dr. So Young walked by, carrying a cup of fresh rainwater. Kiwu had known her on Earth. She had been one of the most careful doctors he had ever met. "So Young," he called, "how are you doing here?" She turned and smiled. Her smile was different from before, wider, but somehow empty. "I'm wonderful, Kiwu. This world is amazing. I feel so relaxed here. Are you still doing medical research?" he asked. On Earth, she had been working on several important projects. "Research?" She looked confused. "Why would I need to do research? Everyone here is healthy and happy. There's nothing to worry about." Kiwu watched her walk away. The doctor So Young he knew would never stop her research. She lived for solving medical problems. That afternoon, he set up his testing equipment in a small building. Jinnah helped him prepare samples of rainwater from different parts of the colony. "What are we looking for?" she asked. "I don't know yet," Kiwu said. "But there's something in this water that changes how people think. We need to find out what it is." As they worked, more humans came by to watch. They all smiled and asked why Kiwu was worried about such clean water. Their questions were friendly, but somehow felt wrong. It was like they were reading from a script. "Dr. Park," Talish appeared in the doorway. "I hope you are not planning to tell people not to drink our water. It would make the Velathi very sad." "I just want to make sure it's safe," Kiwu said. "It is safe," Talish said. "We have drunk it for thousands of years. Trust is important between our peoples." After the alien left, Jinnah whispered, "Did you notice he didn't really answer your question? He just said the same thing again." Kiwu nodded. He was starting to think that nobody on this world was really thinking clearly. Everyone seemed to be following some invisible rules that made them act calm and happy, but Kiwu had not drunk the water yet. His mind was still his own, and he was going to find out what was really happening on New Eden. Kiwu spent the next few days building his water filters. He worked alone most of the time because other humans seemed to have lost interest in his project. They would start to help, then drift away to do other things. "This is getting silly," Heijin said, standing in Kiwu's workshop. "You're wasting time and materials on something we don't need." Kiwu looked up from his work. "These filters are standard safety equipment. Every human colony uses them." "But we're not just a human colony anymore," Heijin said. His voice was patient, like he was talking to a child. "We share this world with the Velathi. They might think we don't trust them." "This isn't about trust. It's about being careful," Heijin sighed. "The Velathi Council is meeting tomorrow. Elder Morden wants to discuss your project. Please don't embarrass us." After Heijin left, Jinnah came into the workshop. She looked tired and worried. "More people are changing," she whispered. "Taemin used to check the security systems every day. Now he says there's no point because nothing bad ever happens here." Kiwu stopped working. "What about you? How do you feel?" "Different," she admitted. "Sometimes I think about drinking the rainwater. It looks so clean and fresh. But then I remember how everyone acts after they drink it." "Keep drinking the bottled water from Earth," Kiwu said. "Don't let anyone pressure you." The next day, Kiwu went to the Velathi Council meeting. The building was round with tall windows. Sunlight streamed in and made everything look peaceful. Several Velathi elders sat in a circle, along with some humans from the colony. Elder Morden spoke first. "Dr. Park, we are curious about your water machines. Why do you think our water needs to be cleaned?" Kiwu stood up carefully. He had prepared for this question. On Earth, we always test water before we drink it. It's not because we don't trust you, it's just how we stay safe. But we have lived on 17 worlds? Another Velothi elder sighed. Our water has never caused problems. Many species drink it and become healthier and happier. That's exactly what worries me, Kiwu said. Water doesn't usually make people happier. It just keeps them alive. The Velothi looked at each other. Their faces showed confusion, as if Kiwu had said something very strange. Happiness is good, Morden said slowly. Why would you worry about people being happy? Because people who are too happy don't pay attention to danger, they don't solve problems, they don't create new things. Heijin stood up quickly. Dr. Park doesn't mean to insult your water. He's just being too careful. No, Kiwu said firmly. I mean exactly what I said. Something in this water changes how people think. And that's dangerous. The room became very quiet. All the humans looked uncomfortable. The Velothi looked sad and confused. Dr. Park, Morden said gently, perhaps you are the one who is not thinking clearly. You seem worried and angry. Our water could help you feel better. I don't want to feel better. I want to feel normal. After the meeting, Kiwu walked back to his workshop alone. Most of the humans avoided him now. They thought he was causing trouble for no reason, but Dr. So Young was waiting for him at his door. Kiwu, she said quietly, can we talk privately? They went inside and closed the door. So Young looked around to make sure no one could hear. Then, I've been thinking about what you said, she whispered. About people changing after they drink the water. You've noticed it too? She nodded. At first, I thought everyone was just happy to be on a peaceful world. But I've been keeping medical records. The changes are real. So Young opened a small notebook. Look at these notes. When humans first arrive, they worry about normal things. They ask questions, they want to check everything twice. But after 2 weeks of drinking local water, they stop caring about those things. Kiwu studied her notes. The pattern was clear. What kind of medical changes do you see? Their brain activity is different. Not damaged, just ... quieter. They don't get stressed about things that used to stress them. They accept whatever anyone tells them. Have you told the other doctors about this? So Young looked sad. The other doctors have been drinking the water longer than me. When I try to show them my notes, they say I'm worrying too much. They tell me to relax and enjoy the peace. Kiwu felt a chill. How many humans are still thinking clearly? Not many, maybe a dozen out of 300. Most of them are people who just arrived or who haven't been drinking much local water. They spent the afternoon going through So Young's medical records. The pattern was always the same. New arrivals acted like normal humans for about 2 weeks. Then they became calm, accepting, and uninterested in solving problems. It's like they're being drugged, So Young said. But they don't seem sick or hurt, just ... That evening, Kiwu called a secret meeting with the few humans who still seemed normal. Jin came, along with Taemin the security chief, Donghayan from communications, and a few others. We need to talk about what's happening to our people. Kiwu said. Tae-min nodded grimly. Half my security team doesn't check the perimeter anymore. They say nothing dangerous could happen on such a peaceful world. The same thing is happening in communications, Donghayan said. People don't want to send reports back to Earth. They say everything is fine and there's nothing to report. But everything isn't fine, Jino said. Our people are losing their humanity. So Young showed them her medical notes. Everyone looked worried as they read the data. What do the Velothi say when you ask about this? Taemin asked. They don't understand the question, Kiwu said. To them, people becoming calm and happy is good. They can't see why we would worry about it. Maybe they can't see it because the same thing happened to them, So Young said quietly. Everyone stared at her. Think about it, she continued. They say they've lived on 17 worlds with water like this. What if the water changed them too, a long time ago? What if they used to be different? Kiwu felt sick. You mean they might not know what they've lost? It's possible. If the water makes people accept everything without question, they might not remember being any other way, Donghayan spoke up. I've been checking the communication records from other human colonies. 3 other settlements have gone quiet in the past year. All of them were on worlds shared with the Valathi. The room was silent as everyone thought about this. So what do we do? Taemin asked. Kiwoo looked around at the small group of people who could still think clearly. We figure out what's in that water, and we find a way to stop it before we lose everyone. The Valathi won't like that, Jinnah said. I don't think the Valathi are our real enemy, Kiwoo said. I think they're victims too, but we still need to save our people. As the meeting ended, everyone agreed to keep drinking only earth water and to meet again in a few days. They had to work fast. More humans were changing every day. Ki-Woo stayed up late that night, staring at his water samples. Somewhere in those clear drops was the answer. He just had to find it. Kiwoo worked through the night, studying water samples under his microscope. At first, everything looked normal. The water was clean and clear, just like the Valathi said. But Kiwoo had learned not to trust things that looked too perfect. He adjusted the microscope to its highest power and looked again. This time he saw something strange. Tiny shapes moved in the water, so small they were almost invisible. They looked like little worms, but they moved in patterns that seemed too organized to be natural. Jinnah, he called, come look at this. She ran over and looked through the microscope. What am I seeing? I'm not sure yet. But these things are alive, and they're in every sample of rainwater. Kiwoo carefully took pictures of the tiny creatures. Then he prepared slides with water from different sources. The rainwater was full of the small organisms. The stream water had fewer of them. The water from underground wells had almost none. They seemed to multiply in rainwater, he said. Look how they move together. Jinnah watched the creatures swim in circles. They look like they're talking to each other. That's what I thought too. Call Minho. We need a xenobiologist to look at these. Minho arrived an hour later. He was a young Korean man who studied alien life forms. He had been on New Eden for only a week and still drank earth water. What did you find? He asked, looking into the microscope. Tell me what you see, Kiwoo said. Minho studied the samples for a long time. He made notes and took more pictures. Finally, he looked up with a worried expression. These are not just microorganisms, he said. They're parasites, very advanced ones. Parasites? Jinnah asked. But nobody gets sick from the water. Not all parasites make their hosts sick, Minho explained. Some parasites help their hosts in exchange for a place to live. But these ones are different. Kiwoo leaned forward. Different how? They don't live in the body like normal parasites. They live in the brain. And they're designed to change how the brain works. Minho showed them his notes. See these structures? They release chemicals that affect the parts of the brain that control worry, fear, and curiosity. The host becomes calm and accepting. So they're drugging people? In a way, yes. But it's more complex than that. The parasites seem to be intelligent. They work together to create the exact brain chemistry they want. Kiwoo felt cold. You mean they're controlling people's minds? Not controlling exactly. More like ... editing. They remove the thoughts and feelings that might cause problems for them. Jinnah sat down heavily. No wonder everyone seems so happy and peaceful. They can't feel worried or suspicious anymore. But why would parasites want people to be peaceful? Kiwoo asked. Minho pointed to his microscope again. Look at how they multiply when the host is calm. Stress and fear make them die off. They need peaceful hosts to survive and reproduce. The 3 of them worked all day, studying the parasites from every angle. They found that the creatures were incredibly sophisticated. They could sense the brain chemistry of their host and adjust their own behavior to maintain the perfect balance. I've never seen anything like this, Minho said. These parasites have evolved specifically to live with intelligent species. They're not natural evolution. Someone or something created them? Created them? Jinnah asked. You mean on purpose? Look. At the evidence, they're too perfect, too specialized. And they affect all intelligent species the same way. That doesn't happen by accident. That evening, Kiwu's team met with the other humans who were still thinking clearly. So Young brought her medical equipment, and Dong Hyan had communication records from other colonies. We found the answer, Kiwu announced. The water contains intelligent parasites that live in people's brains. He showed them pictures and explained what they had discovered. Everyone looked shocked and frightened. So our people are infected? Taemin asked. Yes, but the parasites don't hurt them physically. They just change how they think and feel. So Young studied the pictures carefully. This explains everything I've been seeing in my medical exams. The brain scans showed changes, but I couldn't figure out what was causing them. What about the Valathi? Someone asked. Are they infected too? They must be, Minho said. These parasites are probably why they're so peaceful all the time. They've been infected for so long, they think it's normal, Dong Hyan spoke up. I checked the records from other human colonies that went quiet. They all reported the same thing before they stopped communicating. Everyone became peaceful and happy, and they stopped worrying about safety protocols. How many colonies? Kiwu asked. 7 so far, all on worlds shared with the Valathi. The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. 7 human colonies. Thousands of people, all infected with mind-controlling parasites. We have to warn Earth, Taemin said. With what proof? Dong Hyan asked. If we send a message saying everyone here is infected with alien brain parasites, they'll think we're crazy. We need more evidence, Kiwu agreed. And we need to find out if there's a way to remove the parasites without hurting people. So Young looked at her medical notes. I could try to develop a treatment, but I would need to study infected people to see how the parasites attach to brain tissue. That's dangerous, Minho warned. If the parasites sense that someone is trying to remove them, they might change their behavior. They could become aggressive. What do you mean aggressive? Jina asked. Right now, they keep their hosts calm and happy because that's the best environment for them. But if they feel threatened, they might try to protect themselves. They could make their hosts very sick or even kill them. We thought about their options. They couldn't let more humans get infected. But they also couldn't risk hurting the people who were already infected. We need to work in secret, he decided. We'll find a way to remove the parasites safely. But we can't let anyone know what we're doing. What about the Valathi? So Young asked. Should we tell them what we found? I don't think they would. Believe us, Kiwu said. The parasites probably make it impossible for them to understand that they're infected. They think being peaceful and accepting is just who they are. Minho nodded. The parasites have probably been controlling their species for hundreds of generations. They don't remember what they were like before. Over the next few days, Kiwu's team worked carefully to study the parasites without being discovered. They pretended to do normal colony work while secretly running tests and developing treatments, but they noticed that more humans were changing. Every day. People who had been thinking clearly just a week ago were now smiling the same empty smile and speaking in the same calm voice as everyone else. We're running out of time, Jinna whispered during one of their secret meetings. If this keeps up, we'll be the only ones left who can think clearly. Kiwu looked around at the small group of people who still had their own minds. There were only 8 of them now, out of more than 300 humans in the colony. Then, we'd better work faster, he said. Because once we're all infected, there won't be anyone left to save the human race. Dong Hyan worked through the night in the communications center. He had discovered something terrible in the colony records, and he needed to show the others. His hands shook as he copied files to a secure datapad. The next morning he called an emergency meeting with Kiwu's team. They met in an abandoned storage building where no one would find them. I've been looking at communication records from all the human colonies, Dong Hyan said. The pattern is worse than we thought. He showed them a map of human settlements across the galaxy. Red dots marked the colonies that had stopped regular communication with Earth. 12 colonies have gone quiet in the past 2 years, he said. All of them were on worlds shared with the Valathi. Kiwu studied the map. That's not a coincidence. No, it's not. But here's the scary part. One found old records from these colonies from before they went quiet. They all reported the same things we're seeing here. Donghayan played audio recordings from other colony administrators. The voices were calm and happy, just like Heijin's voice had become. Everything is wonderful here, one voice said. The Velothi water is amazing. Our people are so peaceful and content. We don't need supplies from Earth anymore. We don't need to worry about anything. They all stopped asking for help, Donghayan continued. They stopped requesting new equipment. New people, new anything. They just wanted to be left alone. So Young looked pale. How many people are we talking about? About 50,000 humans spread across 12 worlds. The number was shocking. 50,000 people, all infected with the brain parasites. All of them probably thinking they were perfectly happy. But that's not the worst part, Donghayan sighed. He showed them more files. I found records of Velothi exploration missions. They've been to hundreds of worlds over the past 1,000 years. Looking for what? Taemin asked. Worlds with the right conditions for their water parasites. They test each world, and if the parasites can survive there, they invite other species to come and settle. Minho understood first. They're spreading the parasites on purpose. Not exactly on purpose, Donghayan said. I don't think they know. They're doing it. The parasites probably make them want to share their water with everyone. They think they're giving a gift. Kiwu felt sick. So the Velothi are just tools. The parasites use them to spread to new worlds and new species. That's what I think, and it gets worse. Donghayan showed them historical records from Velothi. Worlds. I found some very old files about Velothi civilization from 1,000 years ago. They were very different then. The ancient records described a Velothi society full of scientists, artists, and explorers. They built amazing cities and created beautiful art. They asked questions about everything and never stopped learning. What happened to them? Jinnah asked. The same thing that's happening to us. The parasites didn't appear on their homeworld until about 800 years ago. Within 50 years, their entire civilization changed. Minho looked at the records. They stopped exploring. They stopped creating art. They stopped asking questions. They became peaceful and content, So Young said quietly. Just like they are now? Kiwu realized the full horror of the situation. The parasites destroyed their civilization, turned them into carriers to spread to other worlds. And now they're doing the same thing to humanity, Taemin said. Donghayan had more bad news. I found something else. Recent exploration reports from Velothi scouts. They've identified over 100 worlds suitable for human settlement. All with conditions that support the parasites? Yes, and they're already making contact with Earth, offering to share these worlds with humanity. The group sat in shocked silence. If the Velothi plan succeeded, humans on hundreds of worlds would be infected. The entire human race could lose the ability to think freely. We have to warn Earth, So Young said. I tried, Donghayan said. But all communications from infected colonies get filtered through Velothi relay stations. They probably edit out anything that might cause worry or suspicion. What about direct communication? Can we bypass their systems? Maybe, but it would take time to set up and we'd need equipment we don't have. Kiwu thought about their options. They were trapped on a world where almost everyone was infected, including most of their own people. The few humans who could still think clearly had no way to contact Earth and no way to fight back against an enemy that most people couldn't even see. There has to be something we can do, he said. Minho had been studying his parasite samples. I think I understand how the parasites work now. They don't just control individuals, they create a network. What kind of network? The parasites in different hosts communicate with each other. They share information and coordinate their actions. That's why everyone infected acts the same way, like a hive mind? Sort of, but more subtle. The parasites let people keep their personalities and memories. They just edit out the parts that might cause problems. So Young looked at her medical notes. That explains why infected people can still do their jobs. They remember their skills, but they don't worry about safety or question orders. It's the perfect form of control, Timon said grimly. People think they're free, but they're really not. Kiwu walked to the window and looked out at the colony. Humans and Valathi worked together in the gardens, all of them smiling and peaceful. It looked like paradise, but he knew it was really a prison. The parasites are smart, he said. They don't kill their hosts or make them obviously sick. They just make them content with whatever happens. Which means they'll never rebel or cause trouble, Jinnah added. And they'll never create new technology or explore new ideas, Minho said. Perfect slaves who don't know they're slaves. Donghayan showed them one more file. I found something interesting in the old Valathi records. Before the parasites arrived, they had advanced medical technology. Some of their doctors were working on treatments for brain parasites. What happened to that research? It stopped. Right around the time the parasites became widespread. So Young understood. The parasites made them stop trying to cure themselves. But the research might still exist somewhere, Kiwu said. If we could find it, we might learn how to fight back. Where would we look? Tenmin asked. The Valathi keep historical archives. If Morden and the other elders are infected, they probably don't remember the old research, but it might still be in their files. The group spent the rest of the day planning. They needed to find a way to access Valathi historical records without being discovered. They also needed to continue their own research into the parasites. Most importantly, they needed to do all of this before the remaining uninfected humans succumbed to the parasites. How much time do we have? Jinnah asked. So Young checked her notes. Based on the pattern I've observed, people start changing after about 2 weeks of drinking the local water. Most of us have been avoiding it, but we can't avoid it forever. Why? Not? Because the parasites are also in the air in very small amounts, and they're in the food grown here. We're all being exposed, just more slowly. Ki Wu felt a chill. You mean we're going to be infected no matter what we do? Eventually, yes, unless we find a cure or get off this world. The meeting ended with everyone understanding the stakes. They weren't just fighting for the colony anymore. They were fighting for the future of human civilization. And time was running out. Kiwu decided it was time to take a risk. He couldn't keep his discovery secret any longer. Too many people were getting infected every day, and soon there would be no one left to help. He called a meeting of all the humans in the colony. Most of them came with the same peaceful smile they all wore now. Only a few still looked worried or curious about anything. I need to tell you all something important, Kiwu began. I've been studying the water here, and I found something dangerous. Hey, Jin spoke up from the crowd. Kiwu, we've talked about this. The water is fine. You're worrying about nothing. No, I'm not. Kiwu showed them pictures of the parasites on a large screen. These are living creatures in the rainwater. They're parasites that live in your brain. The crowd looked at the pictures, but their faces didn't change. They still looked calm and unbothered. Even if that's true, said Dr. So Young's replacement, a woman named Yujin who had been infected 2 weeks ago, why does it matter? Everyone here is healthy and happy. Because these parasites change how you think? Kiwu said, his voice getting louder. They make you stop caring about important things? They make you accept whatever anyone tells you. A man named Jeho laughed. That sounds good to me. I used to worry all the time on Earth. Here I sleep well every night. But don't you want to be able to worry when there's something to worry about? Kiwu asked. Don't you want to be able to question things and solve problems? The infected humans looked confused by the question. To them, worrying and questioning seemed pointless and unpleasant. Kiwu, Heijin said gently, I think you need to talk to someone. You seem very stressed and upset. Maybe Dr. Yujin can help you feel better. I don't want to feel better. I want to feel normal, but Kiwu could see it was hopeless. The infected humans couldn't understand what they had lost. The parasites made it impossible for them to see the problem. After the meeting, only 6 humans came to talk to Kiwu privately. They were the last ones who could still think clearly. "We believe you," said Boara, a young woman who worked in communications. "I've been watching people change, and it scares me. What do we do now?" asked Jun Seo, an engineer who had only arrived a week ago. "We have to find a cure," Kiwoo said. "And we have to do it fast." But their situation got worse the next day. Elder Morden came to see Kiwoo with several other Velathy. "Dr. Park," Morden said, "we are concerned about you. You seem very unhappy and frightened. This is not good for you or for the harmony of our colony. I'm trying to protect people," Kiwoo said. "Protect them from what? From peace and contentment? From health and happiness?" Kiwoo tried to explain about the parasites, but the Velathy couldn't understand his concerns. To them, the parasites were just part of the natural order. They had lived with them for so many generations that they couldn't imagine life without them. "We think you should drink some of our pure rainwater," Morden said kindly. "It will help. You feel better." "No, thank you." "It is not really a request," another Velathy said. "We cannot allow you to spread fear and worry among the colonists. It is not healthy for anyone." Kiwoo realized he was in danger. The Velathy weren't evil, but the parasites controlling them wouldn't allow anyone to threaten their spread. "I need time to think about it," he said. "Of course. Take one day. Then you must drink the water and join our peaceful community." After the Velathy left, Kiwoo gathered his remaining team. They met in secret in the abandoned storage building. "They're going to force me to drink the water tomorrow," he told them. "We won't let that happen," Taemin said. The security chief had been avoiding the infected humans for days. "How can we stop them?" "Most of our own people would help the Velathy force me to drink." It was true. The infected humans would see forcing Kiwoo to drink as helping him feel better. "We could try to escape," Boara suggested. "Get to the landing pad and steal a ship." "The ships are locked down," Junesio said. "And I don't know how to fly them anyway." So Young, who had been very quiet, finally spoke. "I might have another idea. I've been working on something in secret." She showed them a small device that looked like a medical scanner. "This detects the parasites in people's brains. I thought we could use it to prove they exist." "The infected people won't care what it shows," Kiwoo said. "No, but maybe some people aren't completely infected yet. If we can find people who are only partially affected, we might be able to reach them." It was a slim hope, but it was all they had. That night, they went through the colony with So Young's scanner. Most people showed heavy parasite infections, but a few showed lower levels. They found Wu Jin, a colony planner who had only been drinking local water for a few days. The scanner showed parasites in his brain, but not as many as the others. "Wu Jin," Kiwoo said quietly, "do you remember what you were like before you came here?" Wu Jin looked confused. I think so. I used to worry about everything. I made lists and checked them twice. I couldn't sleep if I thought something might go wrong." "Do you miss that? Miss it?" "Why would I miss being anxious all the time? Because that anxiety helped you do good work. It made you careful and thorough." Wu Jin thought for a moment. For just a second, Kiwoo saw a flash of the old personality. "I did do good work," Wu Jin said slowly. "I was proud of my planning projects, but I don't feel proud of anything now. I don't feel much of anything." "That's because of the parasites," So Young said. She showed him the scanner readings. "They're in your brain, changing how you feel." Wu Jin stared at the scanner. "You mean I'm infected with something?" "Yes, and it's getting worse every day." For a moment, Wu Jin looked scared. Then his face went calm again. "But if it makes me feel better, why is that bad?" They were losing him again. The parasites were too strong. "Because feeling better isn't always good," Kiwoo said desperately. "Sometimes you need to feel bad so you'll fix what's wrong." "Nothing is wrong here," Wu Jin said, and walked away. They tried the same approach with 3 other people who showed partial infections. Each time, they got a brief moment of recognition before the parasites reasserted control. "It's not working," Boara said. "Even the people who aren't completely infected can't fight it." "Then we need a different approach," Kiwoo said as they walked back to their hiding place. So Young made a disturbing observation. The parasite levels are increasing faster now, she said, looking at her scanner readings. I think they're responding to our attempts to remove them. What do you mean? I mean, they know we're trying to fight them. And they're fighting back by infecting people more quickly. Ki Wu felt a cold fear. The parasites weren't just mindless creatures. They were intelligent, enough to recognize a threat and respond to it. How much time do we have? He asked. So Young checked her scanner readings again. At this rate, the remaining uninfected people will be completely taken over within days, not weeks. What about us? She scanned each member of their group. Everyone showed some level of infection, even though they had been avoiding the local water. We all have them, she said quietly. The levels are still low, but they're growing. Ki Wu realized their situation was hopeless. They couldn't escape. They couldn't fight back effectively. And they were all slowly becoming infected themselves, but he wasn't ready to give up. Somewhere in the Vellathi archives might be information about how to fight the parasites. And maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to free not just themselves, but all the infected humans and Vellathi. Tomorrow, when they try to make me drink the water, I want you all to stay hidden, he told his team. Continue the research. Find a cure. What about you? Jinnah asked. I'll try to stay myself as long as I can. Maybe I can learn something from the inside. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was all they had left. The next morning, Ki Wu didn't go to meet the Vellathi as they had demanded. Instead, he and his team worked frantically in their hidden laboratory. They had maybe hours before the Vellathi came looking for him. I found something, Minho said, looking up from his microscope. The parasites become more aggressive when they sense danger. Ki Wu looked at the samples. The tiny creatures were moving much faster than before, and they seemed to be producing more of the chemicals that affected brain function. What kind of danger? I exposed them to different substances to see how they react. Most things don't bother them, but when I added traces of certain earth medicines, they went crazy. So Young came over to look. Which medicines? Antibiotics mostly, also some antiviral drugs. It's like they recognize threats to their survival. That makes sense, So Young said. But here's the scary part. When the parasites feel threatened, they don't just try to protect themselves. They try to kill their host. She showed them brain scans from her computer. I've been running simulations based on what we know about the parasites. If someone tries to remove them too quickly, the parasites release toxins that cause brain damage. Ki Wu. Understood? So we can't just give people medicine to kill the parasites, not without killing the people too. Jinnah looked up from her work. What if we remove them slowly? A little bit at a time? Maybe, So Young said. But it would take weeks or months. And the person would have to want to be cured. The parasites make people resist any treatment. Before they could discuss this further, alarms started ringing throughout the colony. Through the window they could see Vellathi and infected humans searching the buildings. They're looking for me, Ki Wu said. We need to hide, Taemin said. But they all knew there was nowhere to go. The colony wasn't that big, and the infected humans knew all the hiding places. Wait, Bora said, I have an idea. What if we don't hide? What if we pretend Ki Wu decided to cooperate? What do you mean? We make fake parasite water. Something that looks and tastes like the real thing but doesn't have the parasites in it. Ki Wu drinks it in front of everyone, and they think he's been infected. That could work, So Young said. I can make something that looks right. But Ki Wu would have to act like he's infected. Ki Wu thought about it. He had watched the infected people for weeks. He knew how they acted and talked. I can do it. But you all need to keep working on a cure. So Young quickly prepared a sample of clean water with harmless microorganisms that looked similar to the parasites under a simple microscope. It wouldn't fool a detailed examination, but it might work for a quick ceremony. Just as they finished, Heijin and several other infected humans found their hiding place. Ki Wu, Heijin said with his empty smile. We've been looking for you. Elder Morden is waiting. I know, Ki Wu said, trying to sound calm. I've been thinking about what, he said. I think he's right. I do need to drink the water. Hejin looked surprised but pleased. Really? That's wonderful. They walked to the main square where a large crowd had gathered. All the infected humans and Velathy looked happy and expectant. Elder Morden stood in the center with a cup of fresh rainwater. Dr. Park, Morden said warmly, have you decided to join our peaceful community? Yes, Kiwoo said, hoping his voice sounded sincere. I've been fighting against happiness for no good reason. I want to feel better. The crowd murmured approvingly. Morden handed him the cup, but Kiwoo had secretly switched it with So Young's fake sample. Drink and let peace fill your heart, Morden said. Kiwoo drank the entire cup. The fake water tasted normal, but he pretended to feel immediate effects. Oh, he said, letting his face relax. That's much better. I feel so calm, the crowd cheered. Morden patted his shoulder kindly. Welcome to our family, Dr. Park. Now you can be truly happy. For the next few days, Kiwoo pretended to be infected. He smiled the same empty smile as everyone else. He agreed. With everything people said? He stopped asking questions or expressing worry about anything. It was horrible. The infected people treated him like he had been cured of a disease, but Kiwoo felt like he was watching the death of everything that made him human. During this time, his hidden team continued their research. Jinnah found a way to access the Velathy historical archives by pretending to be interested in their peaceful culture. The archives contained thousands of years of records, including information from before the parasites arrived. Look at this, she showed the others. The old Velathy were nothing like they are now. The ancient records described a species of brilliant scientists and artists. They had built amazing cities, explored distant stars, and created beautiful works of art. They asked deep questions about the nature of existence and never stopped learning. What happened to them? Boer asked, the same thing that's happening to us. But I found something else. Jinnah showed them medical records from 800 years ago. Velathy doctors had identified the parasites and understood exactly what they did. They had even developed treatments. Did the treatments work? So Young asked eagerly. Some of them. But look at what happened next. The records showed that as the doctors developed better treatments, the parasites evolved to resist them. Eventually, the parasites became so sophisticated that they could prevent their hosts from even wanting to be cured. The last entry is from Dr. Veltar, Jinnah said. She wrote that the parasites had learned to make people happy about being infected. After that, no one wanted her treatments anymore. So Young studied the old Velathy medical data. But their research was centuries ahead of what we're doing. If we could build on their work, we might be able to develop a treatment that works. Minho finished. Meanwhile, Kiwoo was learning disturbing things from his position as a fake infected person. The parasites weren't just controlling individuals, they were coordinating. On a massive scale, during colony meetings, he noticed that all the infected people would occasionally pause at the same time, as if listening to something only they could hear. Their decisions were always perfectly coordinated, even when they hadn't discussed things beforehand. More disturbing, the Velathy were making plans to contact more human colonies. They wanted to share their gift of peace with as many worlds as possible. We have identified 37 worlds suitable for human settlement, Morden announced at one meeting. We will invite your people to join us on all of them. Kiwoo realized the scope of the threat. If the Velathy succeeded, hundreds of thousands of humans would be infected. Maybe millions. But he also noticed something else. Sometimes late at night, some of the infected people looked confused or sad for just a moment, as if part of their original personality was trying to break through. One night, he saw Hejin standing alone, staring at the stars. For just a second, the man's face showed real emotion, fear, longing, regret. Hejin, Kiwoo said quietly. The man turned, and his face immediately returned to the calm smile. Hello, Kiwoo. Beautiful night, isn't it? Yes, it is. Do you ever miss Earth? Miss Earth? Why would I miss being stressed and worried all the time? But Kiwoo had seen the flash of real feeling. Deep inside, the original Heijin was still there. Trapped, but not completely destroyed. The next day, he shared this observation with his hidden team. The real people are still inside, he told them. The parasites don't destroy the original personality, they just suppress it. That's actually good news, So Young said. It means if we can remove the parasites, we might be able to bring people back to normal. But we still need a way to remove them safely, Minho pointed out. Jinnah had been studying the old Velothi research. I think I found something. The ancient doctors developed a gradual treatment that slowly reduced parasite levels over several months. Did it work? For some people, yes. But it required the patient to actively want to be cured. They had to fight against the parasite's influence every day. And most infected people don't want to be cured, Oral said. Right, but maybe we can find a way around that. So Young had an idea. What if we could create an environment where the parasites naturally die off? Instead of attacking them directly, we make conditions bad for them. They spent the next few days researching what conditions the parasites needed to survive. They found that the creatures required very specific temperature, humidity, and chemical conditions. If we could change the environment in people's brains, even slightly, the parasites might weaken enough for people to start thinking clearly again. So Young explained that it was a long shot, but it was the best idea they had. So Young worked day and night to develop her treatment. She combined the old Velothi research with modern human medicine to create something completely new. The key is gradual change, she explained to the hidden team. We can't shock the parasites into releasing toxins. We have to make them die slowly and naturally. She had created a series of medicines that would slightly change brain chemistry over several weeks. The parasites wouldn't recognize the threat until it was too late. But we still need volunteers, she said, and infected people won't want to try it. What about people who are only partially infected? Jinnah suggested, like Wu Jin was before he got worse. They used So Young's scanner to find people with low parasite levels. There were only a few left, mostly people who had arrived very recently. HYO-Jin was a psychologist who had arrived just 5 days ago. Her scanner readings showed early-stage infection, but she could still think somewhat clearly. Something is wrong with me, she told them when they approached her secretly. I used to care about my patients' problems. Now I just tell them everything. We'll be fine. We can help you, So Young said. But you have to trust us and do exactly what we say. Hyo-Jin agreed to try the treatment. So Young gave her the first dose of medicine and monitored her carefully. For 3 days, nothing seemed to happen. Then Hyo-Jin started having headaches and feeling dizzy. The parasites are fighting back, So Young explained, but not as strongly as they would if we attacked them directly. How long will this last? Hyo-Jin asked, holding her head. Maybe 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but there's no way to make it easier. Despite the pain, Hyo-Jin continued the treatment. After a week, something amazing happened. She started asking questions again. Why did I think it was okay to tell my patients not to worry about serious problems? She asked. That's not how therapy works. Because the parasites made you think. Worry was bad, So Young explained, but worry is important. It helps people solve problems and stay safe. It was working. Hyo-Jin's natural personality was coming back. I feel terrible, she said, but also more like myself. Does that make sense? Perfect sense, Ki-woo said. You're remembering what it feels like to be human. After 2 weeks of treatment, Hyo-Jin was completely free of parasites. Her scanner readings showed no infection at all. I can't believe I was okay with being controlled, she said. How did I not notice? Because the parasites made you not notice, Jinnah explained. That's how they work. Now they had proof that the treatment worked. But they needed more volunteers. And they needed a way to treat people without the Velothi noticing. HYO-Jin helped them identify other partially infected people. As a psychologist, she could tell who was still capable of making their own decisions. Jun Nesio, the engineer, might work, she said. He still gets frustrated when things don't work properly. Fully infected people don't get frustrated about anything. They approached Seo carefully. He was suspicious at first, but when they showed him the scanner readings and explained about the parasites, he agreed to try the treatment. I knew something was wrong, he said. I used to love solving complex problems. Now I just do whatever people tell me to do. Junaseo's treatment was harder than Hyojin's. He had been infected longer, so the parasites fought back more strongly. For several days he was so sick he could barely get out of bed. Are you sure? This is working? He asked weakly. The sicker you feel, the more it's working, So Young said. The parasites are dying, and they're releasing toxins as they die, but Juneseo was strong and determined. He had been an engineer before the infection, and engineers don't give up easily. After 3 weeks of treatment, he was completely cured. I remember now, he said, looking around the colony with clear eyes. I remember what it was like to care about doing good work, to want to build things that mattered. Now they had 2 cured people, plus the original team members who had never been fully infected. But curing people one at a time would take forever. We need a better approach, Kiwoo said during one of their secret meetings. HYO-Jin had an idea. What if we could create a treatment center? Somewhere people could go to get better, but away from the main colony where the Velathi won't notice. Where would we put it? Taemin asked. Jun-Shicio had been exploring the area around the colony. There's an old mining station about 10 kilometers away. It's been abandoned for years, but it still has power and basic facilities. They spent several days secretly moving equipment to the abandoned station. So Young set up a medical facility, while Juneseo worked on making the building livable. The hardest part was finding people who wanted to be cured. Most infected people couldn't even understand that they needed help, but Hyojin had developed techniques for reaching them. As a psychologist, she knew how to talk to people in ways that got past their mental barriers. You have to approach them when they're alone, she explained. And you have to start with small questions about things they used to care about. She would find infected people and ask them about their work or their families. Sometimes, for just a moment, their real personality would show through. Don't you miss feeling proud of your accomplishments? She would ask. Don't you miss feeling excited about new discoveries? Most people said no, they didn't miss those feelings. But a few admitted that they sometimes felt empty, like something important was missing from their lives. Those were the people they could help. Wu-Jin was one of the first to come to their treatment center. He had been completely infected for weeks, but Hyojin managed to reach the part of him that remembered being a good planner. I used to care about details, he told them. I used to check everything 3 times to make sure it was right. Now, I just assume everything will be fine. Do you want to care about details again? So Young asked. Wu-Jin thought for a long time. I think I do, even if it means worrying more. His treatment was the hardest yet. The parasites had been in his brain for so long that removing them caused severe withdrawal symptoms. For days he couldn't sleep or eat. He had terrible headaches and felt depressed and anxious. I feel horrible, he said. Maybe I should go back to the colony. That's the parasites talking, Hyojin said. They're trying to make you give up. But if you do, you'll never be yourself again. It took a month, but Wu-Jin recovered completely. When he did, he was amazed at how different he felt. I can think clearly again, he said. I can see problems and want to solve them. I feel alive. Word began to spread quietly among the partially infected people. They couldn't openly discuss it because the parasites wouldn't let them. But they began to seek out Hyojin and ask subtle questions about feeling better. More people came to the treatment center. Each success made the next treatment easier, because they had more helpers who understood what the patients were going through. Bora was cured after 2 weeks. Sungmin, a colony engineer, took 3 weeks but made a full recovery. Each person who recovered helped them understand more about how the parasites worked and how to fight them, but they also discovered something disturbing. The Velathi were becoming suspicious. Elder Morden asked me why some humans seem less peaceful lately, Kewu reported to the group. He was still pretending to be infected. I think they're starting to notice that we're curing people. What did you tell him? I said some humans take longer to adjust to the water, but I don't think he believed me. They realized they were running out of time. Soon the Vellathi would figure out what they were doing and try to stop them. We need to cure as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, So Young said, but they also needed to prepare for what would happen when the Vellathi discovered their secret. The infected Vellathi and humans vastly outnumbered the few people they had cured. When they find out, they'll try to force everyone to drink infected water again, Taemin warned. Not if we cure enough people first, Geneseo said. If we can get to 50 or 60 humans, we might have enough to resist. It was a race against time. Every day, they brought more people to the treatment center. Every day, the risk of discovery grew greater. And every day, more humans remembered what it felt like to be truly alive. 3 months after Kiwu's arrival on New Eden, everything changed in a single day. So Young had been working on a new approach to fighting the parasites. Instead of treating people one at a time, she wanted to treat the entire environment. What? If we could put the medicine in the air, she asked the team. Make it so the parasites can't survive anywhere on the planet? It was a huge project. Jun SCO and his engineering team worked for weeks to design atmospheric processors that could spread the treatment across the entire colony. We'll need to be careful, So Young warned. If we change the environment too quickly, the parasites might panic and kill their hosts. How slowly do we need to do it? Kiwu asked. Maybe 6 months for the whole planet. But we can start with just the colony area. They had cured 47 humans by this time. Not enough to fight the Vellathi directly, but enough to operate the equipment they needed. The plan was to install atmospheric processors around the colony and gradually release the treatment chemicals. The parasites would die so slowly they wouldn't realize what was happening, but on the day they planned to begin, disaster struck. Elder Morden came to see Kiwu with a group of Vellathi guards. His peaceful expression was gone, replaced by something Kiwu had never seen before, anger. Dr. Park, Morden said, we know what you have been doing. Kiwu tried to look confused. I don't understand. You have been poisoning our people, making them sick and unhappy. This cannot continue. Kiwu realized his deception was over. The parasites are what's making people sick. I'm trying to help them. The gift of peace is not sickness, Morden said, his voice rising. You are destroying the harmony we have worked so hard to create. More Vellathi arrived, along with infected humans. They surrounded Kiwu and began forcing him toward the center of the colony. You will drink pure water from our sacred spring, Morden announced. Enough to wash away your sickness forever. Kiwu knew this meant a massive dose of parasites that would completely destroy his ability to think freely. He would become like the other infected people, unable to resist or question anything, but as they reached the main square, something unexpected happened. 47 humans stepped out of the buildings around them. These were the people So Young had cured. They moved with purpose and determination that the infected people had forgotten how to feel. Let him go, said Heojin, speaking for the group. You are all sick, Morden said sadly. We will help you feel better too. We don't want to feel better, said Geneseo. We want to feel human. The Vellathi looked confused. To them, humans who wanted to worry and struggle and question things were clearly insane. You are suffering for no reason, Morden said. Why do you choose pain over peace? Because pain has a purpose, So Young said, stepping forward. Pain tells us when something is wrong so we can fix it. Without pain, without worry, without questioning, we can't grow or learn or become better. But you can be happy and peaceful, a Vellathi elder said. Why would you want anything else? Preojin answered. Because happiness without choice isn't real happiness. It's just an illusion. While they talked, Jun Seo and his team were secretly activating the atmospheric processors they had hidden around the colony. The treatment chemicals began spreading through the air. The change would take weeks to have full effect, but within hours, some of the more lightly infected people began to show signs of recovery. What is happening? One of the infected humans asked, looking around with confused eyes. I feel ... different. You feel free, Kiwu said. For the first time in months, you're free to think your own thoughts. As more people began to recover, the situation became chaotic. The Velathi tried to force everyone to drink large amounts of parasite water, but the cured humans resisted. It wasn't a violent fight. The Velathi weren't aggressive by nature, and the parasites made them avoid conflict. But they were determined to restore their peaceful order. Please, Morden begged, let us help you be happy. We'll find our own happiness, Kiwu said. The kind that comes from choosing freely, not from being controlled. Over the following weeks, as the atmospheric treatment spread, more and more people recovered their natural personalities. The change wasn't instant. It took time for the parasites to die and for people to remember who they really were. Some people didn't want to recover. They had become so used to the artificial peace that real emotions felt overwhelming. I was happier before, one man complained to Hyojin. Now I worry about everything again. But now your worries can motivate you to solve problems, she replied. Before you just accepted whatever happened. Is that really better? That's for you to decide. That's the whole point. Now you get to choose. The most surprising change happened to the Velathi themselves. As the parasites died, they began to remember their own lost civilization. Morden was one of the first to recover. When he did, he was horrified by what he learned. We have been spreading this curse for 800 years, he said, staring at historical records he hadn't looked at in centuries. We destroyed our own people, and then we started destroying others. You didn't know, Kiwu said gently. The parasites made it impossible for you to understand what you were doing. But so many worlds, so many species. We have infected millions of beings with this terrible peace. The recovered Velathi were devastated when they realized the scope of what they had done. Their peaceful nature remained, but now it was genuine peace based on understanding and choice, not artificial calm imposed by parasites. We must warn the other worlds, Morden said. We must tell them how to cure themselves. Some of them might not want to be cured, So Young warned. The parasites will make them resist. Then we will develop better treatments. We will find ways to reach them. Working together, humans and Velathi began developing a plan to cure the infected worlds. They had atmospheric processors, medical treatments, and most importantly, they understood how the parasites worked, but it would be a massive undertaking. Hundreds of worlds, millions of infected beings, all needing to be approached carefully and cured gradually. It could take decades, Geneseo said, studying the scope of the project. Then we better get started, Kiwu replied. Donghayan established communication with Earth and the other human colonies. At first the messages were met with disbelief. Brain parasites? Came the reply from Earth Command. Are you sure you're thinking clearly? But when they sent detailed medical data and video evidence of people recovering their personalities, Earth began to take the threat seriously. We're sending a medical research team, Earth Command finally replied. And we're putting all new colony operations on hold until we understand this threat. More importantly, they began developing ways to detect and treat the parasites on worlds that had already been infected. 1 year after Kiwu arrived on New Eden, the colony had become something completely different. Humans and Velathi worked together, but now they were truly cooperating instead of just being controlled by the same parasites. There were arguments sometimes. People disagreed about how to do things. Some days were difficult and stressful.